Once again, welcome to the quarantine edition of Struggle City. The city is staying at home as y'all should be. If you're listening to this into the future, it's probably aged poorly.
Or it
It's
hasn't.
Casey, Missy, Dave,
And Dave.
and
You know
Dave.
what? I think that you should do the intro every time because you have this presence about you where you're like, okay, let's do it, and like you're just very into it, and like you always say something about the city as well. Like I just think it's fun, and I think you should do the intro every time now.
Yeah, fine, whatever. It's
Do
about
that.
time you've accepted that I'm good at stuff.
No, you're good at friendship, I guess.
I feel personally attacked with that sentence.
You're also
Besides
good at the
Joe-
friendship, Dave.
Yeah, Dave, you're good at friendship.
So speaking about things aging well, let's jump on to our topic for today.
That was
Cheese.
a good segue.
Yeah, thank
That
you.
was
I
good.
try.
Yeah.
I try. You might say I'm getting good at things too.
Eh.
Damn. All right, I get it.
Okay, so what are we talking about
we're-
today, Dave?
We're talking about the fascinating world of our favorite historical figures, or in my case, time periods, because I can't think of any. Well, no. Fuck. I'll edit that out. I'll pretend that didn't happen.
Okay.
Because I have a person. We're talking about historical figures.
Peoples throughout history.
Fuck.
Yeah, we had also kind of thought about doing like a quote crash course on this too, just like about people who like we really like or people who haven't gotten as much recognition or, what have you. So it's not going to be like, here's an hour and a half mini lecture on
Or-
Abraham Lincoln.
Or in
No,
this case, 40 minutes.
We'll give
Yeah.
you blurbs. We'll give
Or
you
less.
fun little tidbits to tease.
Right.
We're only here to flick your historical nipples, not milk you to completion.
Well, I guess I can't show this one to my nephew. Oh God.
Right out the window.
You're
Yep.
welcome.
Okay. Let's get those suckers on there
Let's
then.
make history sexy. Dave,
Oh, I'm
make
going
history
Dave.
sexy.
Yep, you
Oh,
go first.
Well, it's probably the least sexy because I was horribly unprepared because I don't have an absolute favorite historical person. I have a favorite historical time period.
Okay.
I did get some inspiration from the last time we talked, and I decided to take a look at William Shakespeare.
I like him.
He's usually not discussed in depth in schools and stuff like that. And when he is, it's just a very blanket statement and usually wrong.
All right. I taught my students about Shakespeare, like his life and shit. I don't think I got anything wrong.
Dave, do you subscribe to the fact that Shakespeare was not who he said he was, and he was
Yes.
just a mouthpiece?
100%.
Oh,
100%. I think it was a conglomerate of playwrights behind him, and he just slapped his name on everything.
I don't think so.
franchising, baby.
Because a lot of
What
his
else would-
writing don't match up. They don't match up.
Good point.
Mm.
At least that's what experts say.
Well, I'm choosing not to believe that because I really like Shakespeare. It's not even, no, I don't like him as a person, but like from what we know about him as a person, but I like his work.
Would you like him if he was gay? Which he probably was.
I would really like him if he was bi.
He probably was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said it. Like he probably was, because he left his wife for like 7 years, and she like never heard from him. Maybe he was doing
He was getting the milk.
experimenting. Yeah.
He was getting a Midsummer's Night Dickin.
No, I don't like that play. That one's weird to me.
Midsummer's Night Dicking? That's weird.
Yeah.
What website are you on?
Do you really want to know?
It's Spunk Notes.
Spunk Notes.
No.
Oh, we should make that No one else take
No,
that copyright.
no.
Nobody's
You're
gonna
not
be able to
making
read it
that.
because the pages are all stuck together.
Ew, guys, Jesus
Oh.
God, no.
It's
All right,
gonna
back
be
on topic.
digital.
We
It'll
have
be
40
digital.
minutes. Not even.
Dave, why do you like Shakespeare stuff?
Honestly, you said it. Because of how ambiguous he is. He's this weird mouthpiece that may or may not have actually done what he said he did.
That's why you like him so much? Because he's ambiguous? That's a shit reason.
It's mystery.
I enjoy that.
Hmm.
And I also like the fact that he's credited by a lot of teachers in grade school anyway for the longest time to inventing the sonnet, and he really didn't, which is just another thing that we've proven he hasn't done.
He invented his form of sonnet.
Right. There's the Shakespearean sonnet, and then there's the
Plutarch.
Thank you.
Yeah, what he
sonnet.
Petruchian. Yeah.
But like he's always
Petrarch.
looked at as like the golden child of sonnets.
Because he is a golden child. Because he gave because he gave so much work in general. Like he put out so much work into the world for us to be able to say, like, okay, you were obviously a big fucking deal, and we're gonna credit you with a bunch of stuff.
But not credit him with the creation of everything. That's
Not
like
everything.
saying Ron Jeremy's so good at fucking, he started the human race.
I mean, he did.
I really hope not. He's nasty.
He is the Adam and Eve.
Together.
Yes. He just procreates.
Ew. Now I'm just seeing his face. Guys, stop. Like, this is gross.
Imagine him reading Romeo and Juliet. Coming to you soon on Spunk Notes.
The old
he was in a music video for A Day to Remember.
Yeah, he was. He was.
There's a horror movie called One-Eyed Monster with him where aliens take over his dick and then it starts killing people.
Are you sure that's not just that's an actual movie? It's not
an actual movie. It's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, for God's sake.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Okay.
Anyway, Miss, your turn.
Okay. So
Favorite history thing.
I really struggled with this topic because I wasn't sure who to pick because I didn't want to pick somebody who like everybody knew about, where it's like you were taught about this person in a history class. So I didn't want to pick like George Washington or Hitler or somebody.
I mean, to be fair, I almost picked Thomas Jefferson. So
yeah, I didn't want to do that. So I ended up. Like I said, I really, really struggled. So I don't have much here.
Washington would have been fine because he's interesting in his own right.
Is he?
Yeah, he was the United States' first spy.
Whoa.
The big thing.
Anyway. So, Miss,
I ended up.
Who is your person?
I ended up picking Colleen Hoover. Okay, so
we should have put an asterisk to this that they had some sort of historical significance.
Is she still alive?
That's why she's still alive.
Then would she be considered a historical figure?
No,
she's not a historical figure, but I didn't know, like, we didn't talk in depth about this enough for me to be able to be like, okay, I know who I'm gonna pick.
Then why didn't you just ask, you dick?
I did.
I don't know.
I didn't even know what we were talking about today until yesterday.
I know. Well, because like we're not like a history channel, so like I didn't want to, like I said, like you learn about William Shakespeare in class. Like I didn't want to pick somebody who you learn about in class.
All right, why did you pick the Hoover?
The Hoover, like
the Hoover.
Vacuum.
No, the writer.
It was really just because I like her so much, because that was another thing that Casey said. It was like pick somebody in history who you seem to know a lot about, who like you really like, and who you don't think gets enough recognition for whatever it was that they did. And so I was really trying to think about it, and I couldn't think of anybody, and I was like, well, okay, well, let's think about like authors, because there are some authors who write like a dozen books, but they're really only remembered for one or two of them. And that to me isn't fair in terms of recognition, because, you know, like they're more than just the one book that they wrote. So I picked Colleen Hoover because she has like 24 books, and they're fun books, and that's really all I got. I told you, man, I've got nothing on this fucking topic. So
What's
I
your favorite color?
apologize. What?
I mean, she's still
Okay.
alive, so she can answer that, right?
Yeah, no, she's still alive. I will say that she has done a few collabs with other authors, and that she's, you know, done books with them, and they're not good. So she's much better as a solo artist. Yes, Dave.
So let's just think in the scheme of historical. What do you think makes her important enough to be considered historical in this context? Like if we're comparing, and you can't really Shakespeare to Colleen Hoover, what do you think would put her in a league in romance anyway?
I got to say, Dave, your dog is making some good points.
Yeah, I know.
Which dog is that?
That sounded like Biscuit.
Aw. To answer your question, I think that she has completely changed the idea of romance. Maybe not completely changed, but she's highlighted aspects of it that aren't as toxic. And that's important to me because, like, a lot of kids and young adults will watch like these romantic comedies anymore, and they'll expect like these huge grand gestures of things, and they expect like their partner to read their mind and know exactly what they want all the time, and that's just a toxic relationship. Like, it's not possible to do that. Like, you need to communicate, and you, especially like in a long-term relationship, it gets a little bit harder to maintain the romance. You know, Joe and I have been together for 8.5 years, and we're still very romantic, but like it's different when you're at that level. And so with her books, with like her 24 books, like in every story, there's just a different aspect to their relationship. Because that's like all she writes is romance. So like she's found a way to make it different every time, and yet still kind of like in the overall circle of it being romantic, and have it not be like cringy and gross. Case is like, I don't know.
It's a little cringy.
I've never
But
read
it's
her, so
not.
I can't comment.
Well, you should. I mean, are you interested in possibly reading her? Because I could get you a book.
This sounds like a really bad drug deal.
Well, you let me know on that, because I could do that for you. I have like all of her books.
Yeah, you have the hookups.
I got you,
Okay.
fam.
Right. Like, I didn't hate reading the books, but I didn't get anything out of them really. Like, they were just fun to read, and then I kind of just forgot about them when I was done.
I think that's fair, honestly. Like, there's no like huge theme that comes out of her books, and especially as like an English person, that's not something I thoroughly enjoy. But at the same time, like, as you get older, it's so much harder to find a book, at least in my opinion, that is just fun to read. You know what I mean? And it's a book that like you don't want to stop reading. And it doesn't feel it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
To people who don't typically read a lot. So she's easy to read, and she kind of brings the fun back into reading, at least for me, and I think for other people she would too. So that's my answer.
I mean, we could talk about this forever. You got me. I want to hear more about her being considered a historical writer in the long scheme of things later on, because I'm interested by that.
Okay. Let's move on. Casey, who did you pick?
So I also went with a writer.
Oh shit! Look, the 3 English majors went with writers.
That's fucking crazy. I know.
It's kind of cool because like we didn't tell each other which one we picked.
I didn't even know who I was picking until 15 minutes ago.
I wasn't going to pick Shakespeare because, he didn't
Did you
exist.
pick Stephen King?
No.
Okay.
Stephen King is not of historical significance.
Okay, who is?
I don't think. I went with probably who is my all-time favorite writer, Yukio Mishima.
Okay. Tell me why he's so historical.
Because he's a fucking weird cat with a fascinating personal life that translated itself into his writing, whether it was intentional or not. His weird obsession with the mixing and cohabitation of physical and intellectual beauty, combined with his fascination with death and the erotic, just made his books, I just, for lack of a better term, just memorable. Because there's always that aspect in his books that just manages to shock me.
And that's hard to do, for you and for people in general who just read a lot. Like, it's hard to shock somebody.
Yeah. But
like,
he's
especially go ahead.
But he actually does have historical significance because towards the end of his life, he became incredibly radicalized. He was Japanese, so towards the end of World War II, when the emperor disavowed his divine status, no longer considered himself a descendant of their sun god, that kind of pushed him over the brink, and he had this little splinter group of militia types, and they attempted to execute a coup of the Japanese government.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Which resounded in Mishima being ridiculed and heckled because A, nobody could hear him during his speech, and B, the people that could hear him thought he was a nut job. So then he went into the office where he was holding a military commander hostage, and him and his second in command committed seppuku, wherein Mishima disemboweled himself and his second cut his head off.
Isn't that supposed to be like super honorable? Like a really honorable way to die? Okay.
Yes, because Mishima was obsessed with samurai and trying to prove of himself of being of samurai blood.
Interesting.
Yeah. It is really interesting.
It's bonkers.
I read a book by that author. Casey let me read one of his books, and
Patriotism.
Was that what it was?
No, Patriotism and
what's the other one? It was like a love story. Yeah, that one I remember.
That's because that's the most innocent of his stories.
It was very innocent. I haven't read much of this author, but I do remember having a very different experience reading that book than any other book.
Yeah.
And is a way to put it, I guess.
The way he works with vocabulary and metaphor is really interesting, in addition to his combination of Western and Japanese writing styles.
It was also very simple.
Yeah.
Like, I remember it being very simple and, like, easy to read, but also, like, I've read it, like a year ago, and it's still memorable, so.
Well, like I said, that's his most innocent book, but if you go to, like, another one of his books is The Sailor Who Fell from Grace from the Sea, about a child who is disenfranchised by his mother and by society. So he teams up with like this Lord of the Flies type group of kids, and they plot and scheme to kill the kid's mom's new boyfriend.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good story.
That sounds fun.
And then there's another one where it deals with homosexuality and love triangles.
That's fun.
That one shocked the ending to that one shocked the shit out of me.
Maybe I should read that one then.
Yeah, but when you get into ones like that, the simplicity is still there, but there's more intensity just because of the subject matter.
That's a really good formula for a book, in my opinion.
And I feel like that's where the simplicity kind of almost fails because of what it's trying to convey.
That was a really good example. You did your research on that. I actually have another one that I just thought of.
Okay.
So the book I'm reading now called The Erotic Mind, and it is by Jack Morin. And he is historical because he is dead. So he has this whole thing where you can fill out this survey, and it's all about your erotic mind and your sexual experiences and things like that. It's super interesting. And this survey, he like encourages you to write it all out like in as much detail as you can and then send it to him for his research. So I did that. I filled out 4 pages worth of details for this man. Okay. And this was like the most detailed I have ever gotten in my life. Like even more so with Joe. Like I wrote things that like I never told Joe. Okay. And then I found out that he was dead. So there was no point in me sending my answers to him. And I was very upset about it. But I think he is of historical importance because of the psychology behind his research. It's so fascinating. Like he talks about how everything has started in childhood, essentially, whether you know about it or you don't know about it. He talks about like the 4 cornerstones of eroticism and how it's like longing, how it's like anxiety written. He talks about your core erotic theme in your life. So like you can go back through your entire life and like kind of trace themes and patterns in terms of your eroticism. And it's such a push and pull relationship that like it's like all of these things that you fear, it's all of these things that you're insecure about that eventually lead you to this common theme in your eroticism. And it's super fascinating. So I would say that he did a lot of work in terms of figuring out the erotic mind, and that's very interesting to me. And the whole thing also is that it's all about healing. It's all about becoming a whole person. And he talks about shame in it a lot as well, because a lot of people are just forced into being shamed and being ashamed of, you know, what you're into and what you like. And you know, people, once they feel that, they either give up or they try to find that completion. They try to become whole. And by understanding yourself and your core erotic theme and, you know, all of these different patterns, by understanding that and like going back into, okay, why, you know, like deconstructing that whole aspect of it. Like, okay, you're into X, Y, and Z, figure out why. That can help heal you and help make you whole. And to be able to find like an answer to that, to me, is just, it's exhilarating. I love it.
Yeah, that sounds fucking awful. I don't want to go on that journey.
I really think you should. I really do. I really think you should read it. I found a free
copy of the book. There's a PDF that was like the first search in Google.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's a journey I don't want to fucking take.
But what if it could lead you to feeling better about everything? It really could. It's helped me so far, and I'm not even halfway through.
I will continue to live my life in shame.
I really don't think that's healthy.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
Okay. Well, I did tell Casey about the survey beforehand, and I wanted him to take it. I want like everybody to take it because it's so cool. It's so like they just ask you so much about it, and then he also talks about the emotional aphrodisiacs, which is what he calls them, and it's like these key emotions that are in every type of erotic encounter. And, you know, like there's like satisfaction and happiness and all of that, but there's also anger, there's anxiety, there's fear. And it's like all of these things come together to make something like pleasurable out of it. Isn't that beautiful?
Makes sense.
I love it.
So
I love it.
Where you say he is historical, but where would he stand in comparison to like Freud, to Dr. Ruth, to some of the bigger names in this field of like sex psychology?
He talks about Freud a little bit, especially when like he was talking about like how everything kind of develops from childhood. Mm-hmm. But I think he I think he mentioned something about how Freud is like, he makes it too much, not like incest, but like it's too much in the like incesty type of realm of things.
Freud was all about the Oedipal complex.
Right. And so he takes Freud's ideas a little bit anyway, and kind of like morphs them into, it's not about this Oedipal complex, it's more about like how you're brought up and how you were eventually shamed by society, by your parents, by your family, whomever, and that eventually builds onto what your theme is. So you get that theme from your childhood. So that's where Freud comes in. But then he's talking about taking it and building it into something that, one, you can understand, and two, you can make into something that you're no longer ashamed of. So in a way, I think he's a step ahead of Freud in that way, I guess.
It's almost as if he used Freud as like a building block, because he was kind of like the base. I was like, hey, these things are correlated. And then, what's his name again?
Jack Morin.
Jack Morin kind of took the torch and just continued to run with it, but he took it in a slightly different direction.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to look at it. And just the whole idea of why too, because like with Freud, it's like, okay, these are facts and this is what I've seen and this is what I know. But he never really he didn't dive into the why behind things, and I think Morin does. And like I said, that just leads to wholeness. I like he, to me, wants to help people accept who they are. And Freud was just kind of like, all right, this is the observation, you know?
Well, yeah, because Freud was at the forefront of a lot of these things. He was seeing a lot of these ideas and sexuality budding for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be interesting to read. You could get back to me on this, but Colleen Hoover through Jack. That would be interesting because they're both romance based in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And it would just be interesting to apply that level. I guess he's not he's a criticism in a way. You can apply that to Hoover and then see what comes of it. See if you can get something more out of Colleen Hoover than you did before.
That's a good idea. I do have to finish this one first. And it's hard because like there's so much into it and I'm not even halfway through. Like I feel like I'm in school learning and it's exciting.
At least you're doing something with your time off.
I am, yeah. I am doing something with my time off. So we all just realized that we have like 10 minutes left. So
that's fine.
But yeah, Dave, I would be really, really interested to know what your survey looks like. I obviously want to know what Casey's looks like too. I wanted to know what Joe's looks like, but he won't do it. But it's fascinating to me. So if you're interested, I will send it over to you and you can do it.
I don't know about the survey, but I'm interested in the book.
Okay. Well, so I told Casey that I wanted to read his survey. And he was like, yeah, okay, sure, no problem. Like, I'll let you read it. And I was like, oh my God, like, that's so cool. Like, let me read it. I will never, ever let either one of you read my survey. Just letting you know. So, but like, it's not just about like the experiences. It's about how you rate them in terms of like the emotional aphrodisiacs. So like he talks about, like what level of anger were you and how important is anxiety in this particular idea. And he also talks about like how different male and female brains are, which like we knew anyway, but like just to see it from like this point of view is very interesting.
100%. You should definitely send me the full name of all of these people. This way I can put them in the description down below, and then if you want to check out these books, you totally can.
Yeah, it sounds good.
And you don't have to send us your surveys.
No, but you can. You totally can.
I mean,
you can't.
I don't want to know about that stuff about you.
Oh, I do. Because that's who you are as a person, like that's in the center of your soul. You know what I mean? Like, that's where you and your essence are.
I'm disgusting, though.
All
No,
four of you
you're not.
listening, you can choose whether or not you want to send it. Our
It's no
our
judgment.
email.
We're not going to judge.
You can keep it anon. It's whatever.
Yeah. But
I'll totally
it's
judge.
Fascinating. You have no room to judge.
I'll judge.
You have no room to judge either.
I know, none of us do.
The most vanilla among us may judge.
Hey.
Yeah, that's you, Dave.
I have every right to judge then. It has been bestowed upon me.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I haven't gotten to the section on like fetishes and things like that yet, but that I'm very fascinated by. Cause like what like I could talk all day about this. Like I really like this topic because it's just so cool, and like nobody ever wants to talk about it because it's so taboo, you know.
Well,
but it's not.
Maybe we could do.
If you want to tie in authors to this idea, Mishima was throughout a lot of his life a closeted homosexual, and it shows up in a lot of his books, and his family will to this day. Because I think in '98, somebody that was claiming to have been his lover in the '60s tried to publish a book, but Mishima's children sued him for, I think, defamation or something like that, and they won, so the book never got published.
Oh.
So, but again, if you read a lot of his books, there's a lot of not only heterosexual but homosexual intimacies, but there's more emphasis on the homosexuality because Japan is so conservative, and because in a post-World War II Japan, starting a family and that sort of thing was the only acceptable means of living.
Yeah, you had to follow the norm.
Yeah, so there's a lot of shame and, mask making to be had.
But like living your life in that way is just so crushing. Like it really hurts who you are, even if like you don't realize it at first, like hiding that aspect, and it's just.
Oh yeah, that's clear as day in his books.
Yeah.
Like you can tell how much it kills him, how much it kills the characters that he's living through.
That's painful. But like when you can feel an author's pain through their book, like their specific pain instead of like the character's pain, that's really difficult to do, I think. And especially for a lot of people to be able to separate the characters from the author, mood and tone and things like that. I think people really struggle with that. So if he is really good at that, then yeah, I think that you picked a pretty good author.
He was a fucking master.
We'll have to do a We Speak English or something like that on both of these authors at some point and go in depth in their writing and specifics.
I'm down for that.
Give it a shot. Give it the old Struggle City try.
Which kind of a sad try. Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's kind of like a quick little bit on a couple of historical people who we feel like did not get enough recognition.
No. We done good.
We did. I think having the timer helps, honestly.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So, subscribe, follow. We're on everything. Follow us on everything. Comment on everything.
Do it.
Yeah.
Come harass us on Twitter. Come harass us on Facebook.
YouTube. I like
Twitch.
YouTube.
Whatever.
Are we on Twitch?
Sort of.
Kind of. We're called Stuggle City. STUGGLE City. CITY.
Okay.
Their struggle was taken.
Of course it was.
I decided just to go, fuck it, we'll drop the R. We'll be Stuggle City.
I mean, it shows how much we really do struggle, so it's okay.
I'm also on Twitch. So come harass me on Twitch.
Subscribe to Durger Time.
Yeah.
Shout out to Durger Time. Hopefully he's at 1,000 by the time this comes out.
Just about.
Yeah, he's something like 34 away or something like that.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Mm-hmm.
So if he's not at 1K yet, go subscribe. All 4 of you.
Even if he is at 1K, subscribe anyway.
Yeah, subscribe. He's cool. They're cool. We're cool.
Are we?
Bye.
Bye.